So today we'll be speaking on how to clean a data set to use it appropriately. Since now you understand the data types, you now know how to categorize your data, you now know the specific one or where it's supposed to be. Now we are going to now learn how to clean up these data sets that we have. Before we begin, before we begin, if you do not have a laptop, just listen to the session. When it's over, I'll be sharing a link. It's called W3 School, or as we are on the call, you guys that are using your phones can just quickly check out the website. Then before the session is over, I will quickly give a rundown on how the people with phones can practice this session with us. For everyone with their laptop, I hope you have already downloaded the data set. Please open it on your various systems. For those with laptop, for those with phone, please listen attentively. Then I'll show you guys how to practice whatever we have taught so far towards the end of the session. Right. So we'll be taking basic data cleaning and organizing. Let's jump right into it. So the goals for today, now by the end of this session, whether you're a beginner, whether you're an intermediate, you must know how to identify a dirty data when you see one. You must know how to clean simple issues. You must learn how to deal with blanks. You will know how to use basic formula. You will know how to use sort and filter. You will know how to split columns, and you will know how to prevent wrong data entry. Now, the reason why this session is important is because you remember when I said yesterday that while you're working with the data, when you're working with a live data set, you must have issues. You must have errors that are coming in. It's just normal. And those errors now, if you don't clean them up properly, it will mess up your analysis. It will make your analysis to be very stressful. So we need to understand when we say dirty data, you quickly know how to know or identify a dirty data set. You will now know the basic issues on how to clean it. You will now know how to handle blanks. When we say blanks, we mean because sometimes when people are typing in a cell, they sometimes skip some part of the information due to human errors or sometimes unforeseen mistakes. So we are going to learn how to navigate all of this. All right, dirty data usually looks like wrong capitalization, extra spaces, blank cells, wrong formats, combined values, and duplicates. So we are going to fix all this step by step. We'll do it step by step together. Now, before we head to Excel, I want us to get familiar with all of these things I'm talking about before we move to Excel. Now, the first thing is in data cleaning, you need to look at your data before you touch it. You need to ask yourself what looks off, because different types of data come in various formats. So you need to understand the things that are in the data set before you start cleaning so that you will know what you're cleaning. You will not just be cleaning in vain, or you will not just be moving like a sheep without a shepherd. You will have a direction. So the first things first that you should do in a data set after you've looked at your data to now analyze what are the errors in this data. Does this data set have a lot of errors? Are there issues in this data set? What am I supposed to do with this data set? Now, the first thing that you start with is make your headers clear. If you look at this image now, you can see that this image here, even though the AI regenerated nonsense, but at least you can see that the head. So the first thing you start with now is to make your headers bold. How do you make your headers bold? You select the first row and then you just press Ctrl B. It's the same thing everywhere. The same thing we use to make our headers bold in Microsoft Word, in anything that we're typing, still Ctrl B. And then to even make it a step further, to make your data set to be more appealing, you can now apply a fill color. So strong headers make it easy to understand. When we move to Excel, you will understand all these things better. But I just want to quickly run you guys through this slide before we move to Excel so that you will have a better understanding, especially for people that are very, very new to this. Now we're going to remove extra spaces next. After you make your headers bold, you remove extra spaces. Remember last night when I was speaking, I told you guys that when people type, they mistakenly add extra spaces, human errors. Maybe if you're typing, you might press the space bar more times. And if you add more times to it, it's going to give it training spaces, and this spaces now affects your data set, especially when you want to perform functions on it, or when you want to perform formulas on it, rather, not functions. When you want to perform formulas on it, if there are training spaces, they affect the feedback from the formulas that you are going to work on. So that's the reason why you need to standardize your data properly. So now, removing extra spaces in Excel, we call it trim. Is a The function that does it is called a trim function. TRIM. From the bar you can see it. From here you can see it. So now, remember, what in the assignment, what is the first thing that you start your formula with? How do you allow Excel to know that, okay, I'm about to type a formula? It's your equals to sign. Once you want to type any formula in Excel, you must start with an equals to sign. Equal sign. You must put an equal sign. And once you put it, you now put equals to trim and then whatever cell that it is. Please tell me in the chat box, what is a cell? Remember, I explained what a cell is in the chat in yesterday's class. Please let me know, what is a cell? What is a cell? You guys should be answering in the text box. I'm looking at it while I'm teaching, so I'll be looking at your answers. This trim function helps us remove trailing spaces. What is a cell? Please, I need to be seeing the feedback in the chat. What is a cell? Now, the next thing that you do is to fix text casing. Good. Intersection of the rows and column. Good. That's beautiful. Yes, and it was also in your assignment. Good. Yes. Intersection of rows and columns. Good. So now you attach the trim function plus the specific cell where you want it to trim. When we move over to Excel, you guys will see it happening. After you finish removing the trailing spaces, the next thing you do is to now standardize the casing. Just like in Nigerian, not Nigerian, rather, in alphabet, we have small letters, capital letters. We also have sentence case. It's the same thing in Microsoft Word. It's the same thing in Google Docs. All this casing is the same thing everywhere, text casing. But now the thing in Excel is that the same way it's easy for you to quickly change the case to either small letters or sentence casing or upper casing. It's not the same thing in Excel. Excel does not have that option. For you to be able to change whatever casing that you need to use a formula. You need to use a formula. And now the formula to do this now is called, there is three different formulas. If you want to write in a capital letter, it's upper function. When I move to the next slide, you see it. If you want to write in a lower, if you want to write with low, not low, rather the small alphabet, you use the lower function. And then if you want it to be in a sentence case, you use the proper. But for most Excel analysis, for anything you're doing with Excel, most of the times you always use a proper. So that is why proper is being displayed here. So you start it the same thing as well, equals to proper plus the cell, whatever cell you want it to do. So now it will now turn this name, now you can see Chidera Wara to Chidera Wara in a more standardized sentence case format. Yes, lowercase alphabet, yes. So now for the other thing, for the other cases I was talking about, is upper or then the lower. So if you want it to be in all caps, upper. If you want it to be in all lower, lower. And these are great for emails and IDs. Now we move over to handling blank cells. So to handle blank cells now, blank cells is another thing now that you do next. Once you finish standardizing the cases, you now move over to handling blank cells. So blank cells affects data, and blank cells are always there because when people are working with a data, when you're typing in data, because this data we are even calling itself is humans that type it. This is information sometimes that humans type, sometimes that you use different tools to scrape from the web or scrape from different sites to analyze it, and everything will now come together as a data. So whatever thing you're doing, there are always times where there are blank rows, blank cells that maybe as you're typing, you might skip one cell and then move over to the next. So now all these issues now, if you don't address these blank cells very well, when you're working with a formula, it will stress you. Excel will show you shaggy. This has happened to me, especially in my beginner days. I had to learn the hard way how to handle blank cells. So it is very, very important for you to, after you've standardized your casing, You quickly check how many blank cells are in this my data set. I'm going to show you guys how to do it when we move over to Excel. Now, there are two options in handling blank cells, or in seeing them and then knowing how best to navigate them. The step one now, the one that is easy for beginners, is to filter and then delete the blanks. But now, when you now move over to the intermediate and the advanced version, you don't delete blanks. Every data analyst knows that you don't delete blank, because if you're deleting blank now, it means that you're making your data set to be inconsistent, and an inconsistent data set leads to wrong results, wrong information that you will now be giving out to people. So how do we handle blanks if you do not want to delete it? Is by NA means not admissible, not available, not applicable. So this NA now is what we put into blanks instead of just leaving it like that. And the beautiful thing about NA is that formulas accept NA. If you're working in a dashboard now and maybe there's an NA there, they can understand that, okay, this not available now shows that something was there, but they are not aware of it. This is the best way to address blank cells in your data set, in anything that you're doing. It's not advisable to delete your blank cells, because you might be deleting key information that maybe you might not have had access to at the moment, but maybe what if in future now you have access to it. Let's say, for instance, now you're working in your office and your boss gives you a data set to work with. Maybe there are now some blank rows. If you go and delete it now, you're messing up the data set, but you already have a means of getting the information that is there. Because if it's an office data set, you can quickly go and ask whoever was in charge of the data set, okay, this show what was supposed to be here. Then the person can now tell you, then you can now put it in. So before you delete any blank rows, always look at it first. Study it, analyze it, make sure that whatever thing you're deleting out from the data set is not going to affect the overall output of whatever analysis you will be given. Now we move over to split column text. Now this one is very important, because sometimes when we type, we join things together. Like now you can see from this example, this is John and Lagos. They joined both name and then a city together. So this happens a lot in data sets. Any intermediate that is here, yes, it's good to follow this order. It's always good to follow this order. When towards the end, I'll explain to you guys why it's good to follow this order. If you're cleaning, you have to have a plan that you're using to clean, so that your analysis will not just be scattered in the end, and it's easier for you to follow, especially as a beginner. But moving on, you need to split columns. For you to be able to split columns, you have to check the delimiter. When we say delimiter now in Excel understands different things. I don't know if we'll have the time to explain what a CSV file is, but a CSV file is called comma separated values. So most times, most Excel raw data in its rawest form come as a CSV file. And those CSV file now, why it's called comma separated values is because it uses a comma to separate it. So let's say now you're also bringing that same data set now into Excel. The delimiter now, that is what Excel uses to separate all these data sets now, all these different rows now into specific column, is a comma. The same thing now with a space. The Excel understands different delimiters. It understands commas, understands space. I think it also understands exclamation mark too. It understands tabs. If you look at the picture here, let me zoom in a bit. You can see this is a delimiter, a text to column feedback form, or whatever, I don't know what they call this, that I got from Excel. Then you can see the delimited here. The delimited that it shows is characters such as commas or tabs separate each field. So it shows you now that these are the things now that Excel will use to do it. So for instance, now if you look further, you can see that here down below here is this is John, and then this is Lagos. And there's a space in between. So what Excel is showing me that what it sees as a delimiter here now is a space. So it's going to use this space now. Since this space is consistent all throughout the row, it's going to now use that space now. Anywhere that it sees that there is a space, it's going to now move it to a new row. That is what text column is. Separating things easily. That Excel will just use his own hand to put John in one row, put Lagos in another row. That is what text column is. Now we move over to find and replace. Finding and replace is super, super, super. Okay, Fatia. When I get to Excel, I will. But when I move over to Excel, you guys will understand better. But for now, just keep up with the slides while I explain. Now we move over to find and replace. When you're Because sometimes or most times you don't need to do this text to column. So if text to column is not necessary in your data set, you move over to find and replace. Now, what is find and replace? Finding and replacing now, so you in a data set is a must. It's paramount that you must have errors, misspelled names, misspelled things. And let's say that your data set now is over thousands and thousands and thousands of rows. Like, it's too long. Imagine scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. How would you start cleaning? Let's say maybe they spelled John. John is supposed to be said John, but maybe they will add E to it, and we know that spelling John that way is wrong. Or let's say something like now, phone, they're supposed to spell phone Phone. Maybe they'll add double E to the phone. So imagine removing all these things now one by one in thousands and thousands of rows. You will sleep there. You will you will not even finish that thing immediately. So Excel has a shortcuts that you can easily do this as fast as possible. So that is all the finding and the replace button. And the shortcut key now for doing this is pressing Ctrl H on your laptop. Once you press it, this box comes up. You can see it here. It's already showed me. You can see it. Find and replace. So what does this do? You will look at your data set already. Look at it and then show what is it that I want to find here. Maybe John was spelled wrongly and you want to change John now to, for this my example, John was not supposed to be there, it's supposed to be Jimmy. So but they now wrote John and I want to replace it with Jimmy. So what this will now do is, once I just press replace all, everything, in any of my data sets, wherever it has John will be replaced to Jimmy. It's so beautiful and it's doing it at once. Now you don't have to be manually typing anything. Time saved. Time saved. You can now move over to the next thing. Yes, if you guys want the slides, we'll talk about that towards the ending of the class. We'll see how it can be made available for you guys. Now, this find and replace can help you guys out with prefixes and formats. Now, I skipped something in this slide, or what I was supposed to say first. Before you even move over to find and replace, you're supposed to have added the filter option. But as we are going forward in this my slide, you'll see how to attach the filter function. Why you do the filter first is so that you can see at a glance the errors that are in your data set, so that you will now know what you are finding and then what you're replacing. Now we move over to duplicate. After you have now found and replaced everything that is not supposed to be in your data set, you now check for duplicates, because as I said, a data set comes dirty. A real life data set comes dirty. There must be duplicate. There must be times that when we are typing, you might type in multiple names. Let's say you might type John this time around and then type John below. You know how we type, even when you're texting on your WhatsApp or whatever platform it is that you're texting. Sometimes we make errors, we make mistakes, you make duplicates that you don't even know about, especially since you're working with cells. So this duplicate now is very paramount. And now, how do you remove duplicates in Excel? You go to the data ribbon. Once you go to the data ribbon, you see remove duplicates. If you look at it here, you can see where I'm showing you guys remove duplicates. You remove it. Once you click on it, it will bring out this box now, this information box that now tells you click on my data has headers. This is very, very important, so that it can use the headers now to identify the necessary rows that it's supposed to remove. Duplicates from. Now, if you look forward, let me zoom in a bit. You can see these are the columns that were in the data set that I was working with. So it's all checked because my data has headers is checked. Once I click on this now, it's going to remove all the duplicates in my data set. Very, very quick, very, very easy. Now we move over to sorting in the chat box. Now, what are the uses rather of this sorting of data? You can use it to order data, you use it in your cleaning, you use it in grouping as well. Now we move over to filtering data. So now for filtering this data set now, I already talked about it when I was talking about what was the function I was talking about when I was talking about filtering, right? So now in this filtering, you need to see filtering helps you see at a glance what how your data set looks like. It helps you see the relevant information quickly in in the unique format. Let's say now you can see from this data set now that is in this picture. We have electronics, we have beauty, we have clothing, we have a whole lot of things. And sometimes if your data set spans thousands and thousands of rows, you won't even know at a glance how many types of product category now, for instance, that is in this data set. Once you now click, if you that's where filter comes in. If you just go and click on the filter, once you apply a filter to it, filter will now show you the specific category that is under the product category. It will now show you at a glance how many specific product, how many unique products rather is in this product category. So this really helps with see your data set at a glance. What are the necessary things that are here? How many errors are here? How many things are here? It's really, really important. Filtering data set is one of the most important tools in data cleaning. When we move over to Excel, we'll see it further. Now, we also talk about data validation, right? This data validation now is another very, very important secret tool that most Excel users don't even know. I'm dishing value here. So much value. So this data validation tool now is a game changer. A lot of Excel users, people that are even great with Excel, they don't really know about it. Very few know how to use the data validation in Excel. What is this data validation? What is this data validation? Data validation now is used to create drop down lists. With this data validation now, if you go and type in a wrong format, a wrong word inside that box, inside the cell, it will not accept it. So what does this do now? It helps you minimize error. For instance now, you can see from this my picture, we'll click on list because data validation has different formats and you can use it to do a lot of things. So let's say now in your data set now, your header shows gender. And for gender, the most basic gender now that everyone uses is male and female. They use male and female. And now you don't want someone now to come and be typing in the row for male. They will not type maybe MALEE or female or something else that is not necessary, right? They will type something else that is not of it. So you do not want that. For you to now restrict everything to just be specific to male and then specific to female, what do you do? How do you do this? Is by typing in is by creating your data validation. Once you create your data validation, if someone types anything that is not male or female inside that thing, Excel will not accept it. It will give an error message to the person. Isn't this beautiful? Isn't this wonderful? So like this now, nobody can put in a dirty data into that cell or into that row because Excel is not going to allow whatever thing that you do not specify that you want into that cell to work. Now moving on, I'll show you guys how to do this in a minute. Good. Let's move over to Excel now. Please, you guys should open up Excel in your open up your Excel in your various devices, and please download the data set. Open up your data set in your device as well, so that we can practicalize this together. Now, for this practice, now we'll do the necessary things we have spoken about. We'll make the headers bold, we'll trim, we'll do the proper function, we'll handle blanks, we'll split text, we'll remove the duplicate, we'll sort and filter, and then we'll do the drop down validation. With these basic things now, no matter the position you are at, no matter if you're a beginner or really new to it, no matter where you're at, you would be able to navigate Excel. You would be able to navigate cleaning a data set in Excel. Please let me know in the chat box if you guys are ready. Are you ready? Is your Excel open in your laptop for those using devices, for those using laptops? Let me know in the comment section. Are you ready? Are you ready? This is supposed to be a hands-on class, so everyone has to do this together. Are you guys ready? Have you opened up your data set? Those that are using a laptop, is your data set ready? What is the first step that you start with once you open up a data set? When I was teaching, what's the first thing we do? You do not learn by keeping quiet. You do not learn by keeping quiet. Type what is the first thing, please. Let's know. Let's keep moving, please. Good. Bold headers. Good. 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 The headers. Good, good, good. So that's the first thing you start with, the headers. So now let's do this together. On your system, go and click on the first tab. Once you click on the first tab, you click on the first row. Excel highlights the whole row immediately, right? It highlights the whole row. Let's go to my home tab. And then this is the bold button. You click here. We have made our headers bold. Now our headers are bold. You have done something. If you did it on your system, let me know. Let me know. Let me clap for you guys. Who are those that did it on their systems? Who are those that did it on their systems? Who are those that are with me? Who are those that are doing this with me on the call? Good, good, good. Now that we have made our headers bold, the next thing I now spoke about is making your headers have color, because it makes your analysis to be visually appealing, right? So now we are going to put color now on our header. How do you do this? You see this tab here, this tab that is looking like Microsoft Word tab, that has Aptos, Narrow, and different things that you can use to customize your words, right? Uh-huh. Now we are going here now to check for color. Let's change this to purple because purple is the brand color. And maybe use a lighter shade of purple. How is this? You can change your own color to whatever you feel. This is for filling the box, and then this is for the font color. So it's pretty explanatory. There's no rocket science to this one. Who are those that have done this? Good, good, good. Who are those that have done this? Who are those that have done this? Now, after making your headers bold, what is the next thing we are supposed to do based on our data set? What is the next thing? Please, let's go. This class is supposed to be hands-on. What's the next step after making your headers bold? Please, please, please. After making your headers bold, what's the next thing? The next thing we do is the trim function. Yes, the trim. Good. The trim function. You guys are following. Now we move over to the trim function. And remember what I told you guys about the trim function, about trailing spaces in the data set. Now, I don't even think this data set has trailing spaces. Does it? Does it? No, I don't think they are trailing spaces. So we use our own hand and create our own space. So now the trailing space that I talked about was like this. Let's say cost now will be like this. You know, when people are typing, we are typing so quickly, they might not really have the time to adjust the necessary things very well. Let's say for this female now, we can add trailing spaces. I'm just using my own hand to create trailing spaces for this data set. Okay, so we have created for these two rows. Now, how do you remove these trailing spaces in a data set? Is with the trim function. How do you start the trim function? With the equals to sign. How do you begin the function? The first things first, you need to insert a new row. Not a new row, rather a new column. I've inserted it. To insert, you just need to right click. Once you right click, an option will come out. You will see where they wrote insert, because for some reason, I don't know, I noticed that it's the pop-up menu is not showing on this call. But to insert, you will need to just right click. Once you right click, options will come out and then you see insert. So now I've inserted. So now we are going to now make this customer ID column to be standardized. How do you start? What's the first thing you start with when you're writing a formula? What's the first time that we spoke about? Quickly let us know. Quickly let us know. What's the first time? What's the first time we are supposed to start with once we want to write a formula in Excel? What's the first? Good, good, good. The equals to sign. So now we are going to start. Now we now type the trim function. Once we do this, now Excel has what they call IntelliSense. Not only Excel, but most Microsoft products has IntelliSense, such that it can now make some suggestions based on what you type in it. It will now bring out some suggestions for you of your functions. So now it has already shown me trim. Once I click on it, look at this beautiful thing. Oh my god, I don't know why this function I'm writing it's not really showing on screen for some reason. I need to really look into that. But basically, anytime you type the formula, for those that have typed the trim, if you notice, Excel showed you the code on using it. It showed you trim, then in brackets text. Please confirm for those that are following us on this, those with their laptop, those with their system down on this call. Now we are going to click on detail and we press enter. Now, remember what I told you guys yesterday about Excel? That if you come to the edge, like the edge, the closest edge like this, good. That if you come to the edge, the cursor will change to a tiny black cross. That tiny black cross now is telling Excel that you want to fill down, that once you start dragging it now, that it should copy whatever is in this first cell, the format that is in this first cell, it should carry that same formula down to all the rows. So that's the beautiful thing about Excel. So that if your data set spans thousands and thousands of rows, you don't have to be your own hand and be dragging it, and be dragging and be dragging and dragging. That would be a lot of headache. That would just be a whole lot of headache. Because imagine if this data set now was over 200,000 rows or thereabouts. Is this what you'll be doing? So the beautiful thing now is that once this little black cross appears, just double tap. Once you double tap, it has automatically done it. Now let's look at this. Do you remember that we use our own hand to add trailing spaces? For example, this D7 now. Do you guys remember that we use our own hand, because I won't say I use, we are doing this together to add trailing spaces to D7. Now, if you look at C7, is there any space? No. Excel has used its own hands now to adjust everything to be normal. If you look at G4, we also added space now. Excel has used its own hand now to remove all those trailing spaces. Now, this data set is now halfway standardized. Are you guys following this? Isn't this beautiful? Isn't this beautiful? Are you guys following this in the now? We remember that we also added trailing spaces in the gender column. This column, right? Let's add more spaces so that you guys can see this wonderful tool called Excel, what it can do and undo. We're going to do the same thing again. Before I forget, whenever you guys want to attach or work with any formula in Excel, you need to insert a new row. That one is a rule. You must insert a new row. It's very paramount, because you cannot start writing a formula in your box that already contains a data that is in. You cannot just start typing equals to here now. It will mess up your whole data set. So you need to insert a new row. So you right click, as I said, and then press insert. We have inserted a new row. Now, you press the equals to sign. We are also trimming this as well. And you press enter. Now, remember what I said about the tiny cross? Once you double tap, it automatically fills it immediately for you. I've done it again. I've done it again. I want to now come and delete. Let's say you want to delete this one, since you have gotten the necessary formulas now, it's standardized now. Let's say now we now want to come and delete this column now. Right click. If you want to do any deleting, you right click and then you press delete. Look at what happened. Can you guys see this? Can you guys see? Look at what Excel just showed me now. Hashtag reference. Hashtag ref. What does this mean now? This means that Excel cannot see the reference from like where I the formula that I took now. Excel does not know or cannot see where I got the necessary data sets or the necessary data that I'm using for the trim function. That is why it's returning this error ref. So now how do you make this error to not be here? I'm quickly going to show you guys how to do it now. Now, how do you do it? Once you're done with your, once you've written the necessary formula, you guys just saw, I just wrote the formula. I just wrote it, right? Now, what are you going to do next? You now need to paste this as a value. Paste as value. If you do not do this pasting, what just showed now will just happen. Excel will not know where to get the reference for where you're telling it, okay, trim. Okay, what do you want it to trim? That's practically what that ref formula means. Because I've deleted it and I did not paste it in the correct format, that's why it returned it, because it does not know where it's supposed to trim from. It cannot find the value. Now, let me quickly show you guys how to do that. Once you're done, let's quickly copy everything. You copy that data set, you control C. Control C is to copy, or you right click. Once you right click, you see copy, or you press Control C on your system, or you even come up here. If you come up here, you can see where they wrote on the home tab, you can see where they wrote copy. You copy it. Now we have copied it. Do you see how our data set is being highlighted? It's showing that we have copied something. Now we move over to paste. Now when you want to paste, we are pasting it here in this row. You move it over to where you want to paste the data set. Now when you want to paste, you come to the paste option. Make sure you click this tiny V. There is one sign that is below it. If you look at it, has different paste formats. It has only just paste. It has paste formulas. It has paste number formatting. It has different paste. But the pasting that we are looking for now is paste as values. Paste as values. If you do not paste it as values, Excel will not know where it's referencing from. It won't know. So let's quickly paste it now as a value now. This is here, and then we paste as value. We have pasted as value. Now we can now delete this. Good. Now, do you see that I've deleted the column and it's not returning error for me? Why is it not returning error? Because I've done the proper formatting that I'm supposed to do. Good. Yes, you paste into the cell. You are pasting it back to the correct cell C. We are pasting it back to cell C. What we just want to do is to copy whatever formula that we did and paste it into the correct place as a value. You're not pasting it as paste now, you're pasting it as value. Now we move over to, we have seen how the trim function works now. We have seen how the trim function works. Now let's quickly now go to the next, what's the next one we are learning? Proper. Now we are going to make it proper. To do proper is the same format too. You insert a new row. Once you insert, you come and then you start with the equals to sign. Once you press the equals to sign, you now tell it equals to proper. Now they are telling it we are clicking on the specific row, and then you press enter. So it's the same thing. Now Excel is going to standardize all this. Do you see the difference now? If you look at cell C8, you can see that this is in a capital letter. And now Excel has made it to be in a proper sentence. That is, it's now in a sentence case. Just easy, just with a formula. You don't need to stress. You don't need to start retyping anything. So that if a data set spans thousands and thousands of rows, you don't need to manually do this. Excel will quickly just do it for you. Now, moving on. Remember what I said about copying your data set and pasting as value. We are going to do it again. You highlight everything, highlight the necessary row, or you highlight the necessary row or column rather, not row, and then you copy it. Now we are pasting it back here as values. And we have pasted it as values. Now we can delete this first row. Good, good, good. Are we moving? Are we moving? Yes, I noticed that. I just noticed that it has been deleted. Oh. I just noticed that was an error on my part. But let's keep moving. I think we can work without it. I hope we can. We can practice this without the cost 001. All right, let's keep moving. Now, the next thing now, since we have learned how to do the proper function, are you guys understanding? Are you guys following, please? Are you guys following? Please let me know in the chat box. Now we handle the blanks in this cell. How do you handle blanks? How do you handle blanks in this cell based on our discussion earlier from the slide? You guys, how do we handle blanks? Please, let's hurry up. You select the blanks. Yes, yes. How do we handle blank? Would fill it with any. Yes, yes. Good, good, good. You guys are following. You guys are following. Right. So now to quickly now handle the blanks, do we have any blank cells in this data cleaning data? All right, let's use our own hand to create blanks. Okay, there's some blank here. There's a blank here. Let's use our hand to create blanks now in this data. Now we have created blank. How do you now begin? When you go to filter, remember what I said about filter. Do you see that? Oh my God, I don't know. For some reason, this is not showing. But if I filter my data set now for those with on your system, once you click on the filter function, before you start with the blanks, you're supposed to attach filter to it. Sorry, attach filter to the wrong row. You attach filters to your headers, not the box. Always attach filters to your headers. Now I've attached filter now to my headers now. And if you click on the filter option, the small triangle that pops up, once you click on it, you see that it's showing blank rows. Now, if you click on those blanks specifically, and you highlight just those blanks, so now it's showing me that this is the row that is blank. Now, for the great thing about this is that you need to study the blank row before you delete it. Remember what I said about studying it. So now we have seen now, because we use our own hand to create this error now, we already know that what was here was I think product category or dates. I don't even know what was in this row. But basically, you need to understand it. When you now understand what the blank is, you can now quickly use your own hand now to press NA. Now I've put it NA, non-admissible. I don't know why I always call this thing non-admissible, but it's not available. That is the correct um, statement, right? Now we have filled NA for this one. So if we still highlight the column again, now the blank is no more there. Now it's now NA that is there. There is also a format to quickly fill all the blanks in your row at once. I need to look at this thing again. But then, because I don't know, the pop-up button is not really showing, but the YouTube playlist I'll show to you guys will explain better how to fill in blanks for you guys. Because I don't know, the chat box that is supposed to be showing in Excel whenever you click on any function is not really clear. It's not showing here. So I can't really explain further, but I hope a YouTube playlist now will explain to you guys that are confused. Now, moving forward, at least you guys have seen how to attach an NA with the one that is showing. Let's also attach an NA here too. Good. We have done this now. Now we are moving. We are moving. Now, the next thing now that you do in a data set now is what? What's the next thing that we do? What's the next thing that you do after removing your blanks? We are supposed to split the text, but since this our data set does not really have a text to split, I'll have to create one to quickly show you guys how to split a text, because time is really running. Oh my god. All right, to split a text now, we go to, let's just call this name, and then we'll put John and then Lagos. Good. Now we are going to split this John and Lagos now to be in different columns, because sometimes data set comes like this. A live data set comes like this. Yes, always filter first to spot errors. You need to filter first to spot errors. Yes, because if you filter it, you cannot see the unique values on each data set. The issue now is that I'm looking at the screen and I'm seeing that if I click on the necessary filter option, it's not showing here. But if you click on the filter, since the filter is already applied, if you click on the triangle that is there, it will show you at a glance what are the values in your data set, the unique values in your data set, so that you can see the ones that have error. Those that are doing that, let me know. Are you doing this and is it working for you? Let me know in the chat box. But moving on, let's keep moving on to the text to column format. Now, for the text to column format now, if a data set comes like this, two different information joined together in one box, you have the ease to quickly split them to be in each various rows or each various columns rather. Now, how do we do this? We do this by text to column function. The text to column function, I'm moving around it, look at it up here. You click on it. Now, once you click on it now, it brings up a pop-up bar that I showed you guys in the good. 400 me said has is working. That is wonderful, right? So it brings out a convert text to column wizard that I showed you guys the picture of how it looks in the slide. If you guys can remember, I showed where I talked about the delimiter and then the CSV file and the likes of them. Now, for those that are following, once you click on the text column, it brings up that chat box and shows us the delimited, right? And the delimiter now that Excel is automatically noticing that is in this data set is space. Space is the common delimiter here. So you click on next. When you click on next, it will now bring out different options for you to say what's the delimiter that is seen here. It has different delimiters that you work with, either tab, either semicolon, either comma, either space. So it has different delimiters that it works with. It has different delimiter. So now for this data set, it's already going to be space that will click. So those that are clicking on the space, right? If you click on the space, you see that Excel quickly just showed you a line in between that it has already used to split it, immediately. If this is working for you, please let me know in the chat box. Is this working for you? Now you click on next. Once you click on next, it's now showing you where do you want the destination to be. Where do you want it to import this next one to now? You want it to be here. We want it to go here, and then you go back and then you click finish. Okay, good. You guys see this? Excel has split the column. So now the next thing that we move to now is sorting. So for the sorting now, we would let's quickly use this number now to do the sorting. The number, this price per unit now to quickly do the sorting. Now you can see from here now, we can sort from either A to Z or Z to A. As I said before, A to Z is ascending, Z to A is descending order. So we want to see at a glance, what is the smallest number now that we have here? Once we click on this A to Z now, it has sorted it now for us. Now we can now see that the smallest number here now, the smallest number now is 25. You can see at a glance now that that is the smallest number here. If you're following, please let me know in the chat box. Let me know. Yes, I noticed that, but I will be attaching a YouTube video for anyone that has issues with this so that you guys can be seeing or can see at a glance what is going on, because I don't know, for some reason you guys are not seeing the back function that is showing me, or not back function, rather the pop-up information that it shows me anytime I click on the delimiter. But I'll be showing you guys a YouTube playlist after this call that you guys will use to understand better. Now it has sorted it out immediately for us. You can see now. Now, if you also want to sort from descending to ascending to see at a glance, it has also sorted it. We can now see that the biggest figure on this column is 500 USD. Are you guys following? I have to be quick now because of time. Yes, when you have a large data set. Now we are going to do the drop down validation I was talking about, the secret tool now that most people don't really use in Excel. Now for the drop down validation, now we'll use something like let me insert a new row. Drop down validations are used for data sets now that has a particular statement, something like male and female, or for if you're a business owner now and you have specific products that you always sell. Let's say you have key beauty product that you always sell, as your products are there, and you don't want anybody that is typing in now to come and type in another product now that is not your products, for instance. Or you want to even lock in time for people that work in an office. If you're working with a time now, you want to record attendance time for, not attendance, rather clock in time and clock out time, and you don't want anybody to come and put a time that is not inside the working hours. These are the times now that this data validation comes in hand, so that it will restrict the amount, the type of data that is coming into that row if it does not meet the specific criteria that that row is supposed to offer. Now, let's quickly show how to do it. How do you do the data validation? If you go to the data tab, I forgot to even say it, all these other tools I'm talking about, the text to column, the data validation, we have entered data analysis now. We have entered data analysis, even the remove duplicates, but we'll come to remove duplicate last. Now we move to the data validation. Once you reach the data validation, you click on the data validation. A pop-up box comes out, but for some reason you guys cannot see the pop-up box, but a video will be attached for you guys to see better. Now if the pop-up box comes out, you will now attach the values that you want it to do. Once the pop-up box comes out, it should show any value, and it will show an inverted triangle that is below there. Once you click on the triangle, you will see different options, but we are going to go to list. If you're using your system, please be following me on this. Once you click on list, you now go to the source. It will show a source tab. On that source, and that's where you now type the specific criteria we want. So now for this box now, before I start, let me move it to two box. Let's say for here to here. So now we are going to give it to put only male and female, and then okay. And we'll put an input message. Check info. Choose one. I'm filling in the necessary input message. If you're using your system, please let me know if you're following. And then for the error message, it will show them a warning sign. Check info wrong. Use correct format. Good. Now, do you guys notice something here? Before, this box did not have a tiny triangle. I don't know if you guys can see this tiny triangle here now. This box now has a tiny triangle attached to it. Once anybody that have done the data validation on their system should have it. And if you also notice too, there's also a check info sign coming in. Whatever thing that you put in the error message is supposed to be showing immediately once you click on that box, right? It's supposed to be showing. So now, if I now come here and now type mail, the IntelliSense is already just suggesting mail to me. I don't know, you guys cannot still see this. So if I come here now and come and type MALEE, I want to move to the next box. It's already showing me use correct format. It's not working. It's not even accepting it. So it's not accepting it at all. The data validation is not. You can just put anything. But what is supposed to be there when you're really working with a data set, because this is a practice class, is the specific criteria you want people to see when they put in the wrong detail. What do you want them to see when they put in the wrong detail? So you need to guide your users. So now it's not allowing me to put in. I need to specifically put what is in the drop down, either male or either female. If it's not it, forget about it. So now moving on, we'll now do the last one, duplicate. How do you remove duplicates from your data set? You have to highlight the whole data set. Once you highlight the whole data set, still in the same data ribbon, you will now see remove duplicates. Once you click on it, you click on my data has header, as I said before. It told me no duplicates found. And no duplicates found is because there is no duplicate on this my data set. When you guys are going to be working with you on your assignment tonight, you will see some duplicates. The data set we are going to be using is going to be more bogus, and there will be attached the necessary information, the YouTube playlist to guide you as well, because I was not really able to show everything as I would have liked, because my information box that the Excel shows is not really showing on this screen. I noticed that it's not showing on the screen. But anyways, the YouTube playlist I'll be attaching would be very self-explanatory and will guide you guys with doing the necessary assignments that you're supposed to do. Now, moving on. Okay, let's quickly move back to the slides now. I hope with this now you guys have gotten a little bit followed. Now you're an analyst. So if you followed us to do this, you are now an analyst because you can clean data. Yes, we'll be taking questions in the end, towards the end of the class. I need to hurry up because Miss Abimbola is here and ready for us. So we need to be ready for her before her session comes in. Confirm. For you to also practice your own when Miss Abimbola is done talking. Now, for this cleaning mindset, now I want you guys to have it as a step-by-step plan, so that when you see a messy data, you immediately just know how to move. When you see a messy data set, you need to know that you're supposed to think about it. Identify first of all. You look at the data set. What are the necessary things I'm supposed to do here? The necessary things now that you're supposed to do now, the tools will now determine how you should now do the necessary things. You now look for the specific tool that can help you achieve the necessary things you identified and resolve them. And then you now apply it. And after applying, you also recheck. So you need to keep practicing data cleaning, because data cleaning is the first step in doing any analysis. You cannot do an analysis with a dirty data set. It will stress you. Miss Abimbola is speaking next. So the top 1% in data science in Nigeria. Me, I'm top 14. She is top 1%. So you guys have to be on this call. She's going to talk to you guys on how to utilize this skill now that you've learned to start earning from it. Because she's a Microsoft Excel MVP. Microsoft Excel MVP and top 1% in data science in Nigeria. Do you know what that means? Value is coming to talk to you guys now. So do not sleep on this opportunity. Me, I'm even super excited for her session, because I have so much to learn from her. I look up to her, as Asha has already informed you guys beforehand. So your this class is going to do now is going to show you guys a roadmap and a beginning guide. If you're an intermediate, a guide, whatever stage you are in Excel or in learning your data science or data entry journey, this class is going to show you a guide on how to move forward with your learning path. So this master quest sheet now that is created is going to show you at what stage you are, what is left for you to go through. Because when I was learning Excel, I was very, very confused. There was just a whole lot going on, a whole lot of videos. They'll say, oh, watch this, watch that. I really did not have direction. But I want you guys to have direction. I don't want you guys to go through the same issues I had when I was starting. So that is why I created this. As you can see, the stage 1 is already showing you guys the navigation, right? It's showing you guys the navigation. This is where you're supposed to start from. The stage 1 foundation. You understand the navigation, understand data entry, understand data cleanup. I just taught data cleanup. You understand the functions, sum and average. Bolu taught that yesterday. You understand sort and filter. I've already covered this. Then you now move to the if logic. You now move to the if error. Bolu talked about references yesterday as well. You also understand date. You understand simple charts. Then you now move to pivot tables, dynamic array. Excel is a lot. There is a lot to learn in Excel. So this master's quest now, we are going to be sharing it in the group so that you know what you have learned so far and what is remaining for you to learn. We'll also be showing you guys. We have also gone ahead, because I'm so intentional about all of you this year, to look for where you can take a course, and after taking a course, you will get a free certificate on it. That course is widely recognized. You can use it to apply for roles and you will get it, as long as you take the course and you write the exam and you pass it. But there is no way you will take that course that you will not pass it, and it's totally free. It is free. So you guys should stay to the end of the class. That's day 4. Is in day 4 that
To unlock day
I'll be
3,
saying all these
complete
things,
day 2
or where to get
assignment.
the necessary links for everything. And